Think about the last time you walked into a bar or an R-rated movie. You pull out your wallet, show a plastic card to a human being who glances at it for 2 seconds, and you're in. That person doesn't record your home address, they don't track what drink you ordered, and they certainly don't sell your height and eye color to a marketing firm in Virginia. But in 2026, the digital world is building a very different kind of door. I'm Sudo, and this is Impractical Privacy. Today, we're talking about the age verification gold rush. From social media to news sites, the walled gardens are no longer just keeping you in. They're demanding your papers before they even let you look through the fence. The most common method today is the ID upload. You're asked to snap a high-resolution photo of your driver's license or passport. Think about what's actually on that card. Your full legal name, your home address, your height, your weight, your eye color, and your organ donor status. When you upload that to a verification partner, you're trusting a middleman that you didn't choose with one of the most sensitive documents that you own. Many of these companies claim to delete the image after processing, but processing often includes extracting the text into a permanent database and creating an identity hash, a digital fingerprint that follows you across every other site that uses the same provider. These companies are prime targets for state-sponsored hackers. If a bank gets breached, you lose money. If an identity verifier gets breached, you lose your identity. You can't exactly rotate your social security number or your home address as easily as a password. Then there's the modern solution: facial age estimation. The prompt tells you to center your face in a circle and look at the camera. An AI algorithm then analyzes your skin texture, bone structure, and liveness to guess if you're over the age of 18. This is a privacy nightmare disguised as a convenience. It trains us to treat our biometric data, the one thing we can never change, as a disposable login credential. Every time you use these estimation tools, you're providing free training to improve surveillance algorithms. Your face becomes a data point used to build better tracking tools for law enforcement and corporate loss prevention systems. These systems are notoriously inaccurate across different ethnicities and lighting conditions, meaning your access to the free internet is now at the mercy of a biased black box algorithm. Some sites offer to verify you by authorizing a 0.00 or a $1 or some transaction type like that on a credit card. They argue that because you have a credit card, you must be an adult. But look at the metadata trail this creates. You've now linked your credit card, which is tied to your real name, banking history, to your browsing activity. Your bank now knows you were visiting a specific restricted site. That data is often shared with credit bureaus and insurance companies. Data brokers can now link your anonymous persona to your real-life financial persona because the credit card acts as a universal bridge between the two worlds. The irony here is that these systems are marketed under the banner of safety. They claim it's to stop bots or protect minors. But in reality, it creates a single point of failure. By forcing everyone into a centralized identity system, they're building a digital ID by the back door. Once you've verified your age on one site, the provider encourages you to save your ID for faster checkout next time. Suddenly, you aren't just verifying your age for one site. You're logging into a global identity network that tracks your movement across the entire web. In the old world, the bouncer at the bar forgot your face the moment you walked past. In the digital world, the bouncer follows you to the table, records your conversation, and keeps a photocopy of your ID in a filing cabinet that has a "kick me" sign taped to it. If a service demands a live selfie or a government ID for a non-essential service, that's a hard stop. There is no convenience worth the risk of a biometric leak. If you must do it, look for services that support zero-knowledge proofs, technologies that allow you to prove I am over the age of 18 without ever revealing who you are. They exist, but the big data brokers don't want you using them because there's no money in a proof that they can't sell. When a website, like a social media platform or a news outlet, needs to verify your age, they rarely build the tech themselves. It's too expensive and legally risky. Instead, they plug in an API, which is an application programming interface, from a third-party identity provider. This creates a triangular relationship where you are no longer just a user, you're a data product being passed between two companies. The handoff, you click verify, and suddenly you aren't on the site you intended to visit. You've been redirected to a third-party domain. This is where the shadow profile begins. The middleman charges the website a fee per verification. To maximize their own profits, these middlemen often enrich the data they collect from you by cross-referencing it with other databases they already own. These companies often market themselves as privacy-preserving because the original website never sees your ID. While technically that's true, it's a sleight of hand. The website doesn't see your ID. The middleman now sees everything. They know your real-world identity from your ID and your digital desires based on which site you sent them to. If one middleman provides verification for 500 different websites, ranging from healthcare portals to adult content in political forums, now they have a God-eye view of your entire life. They can see the total you in a way even Google struggles to do. By using a third party, the website you're visiting is laundering its liability. If the third party gets hacked and your driver's license ends up on a dark web forum, the original website can simply say, "It wasn't our database that leaked." This creates a security vacuum. The middleman is incentivized to move fast and collect as much as possible, while the client website is incentivized to look the other way as long as the age verification checkmark turns green. We are moving towards a world where these middlemen don't just verify your age, they assign you a trust score. If the middleman's algorithm decides your ID looks suspicious or your IP address is high risk, maybe because you're using a VPN, like a good impractical privacy listener, they can deny you access without ever telling you why. Because these companies operate across thousands of sites, being flagged by one middleman can effectively exile you from a huge chunk of the internet. It's a privatized, invisible credit score for your right to browse. This is why we talk about compartmentalization. If you absolutely cannot avoid a third-party check, never use your primary email address or your clean browser profile. These middlemen use browser fingerprinting to link your verified identity to your anonymous sessions. Use a hardened browser like Mulvad or a fresh GrapheneOS user profile to ensure that once the verification is over, the middleman can't follow you back home. In the world of privacy, we often talk about zero trust. But when a law or a service forces your hand, zero trust has to evolve into controlled exposure. If you're running GrapheneOS, you aren't just a passive victim of these age gates. You're an active participant in your own defense. On a standard Android or iOS device, when you open a browser to verify your identity, that browser has access to a staggering amount of cross-app telemetry. It knows your device ID, your advertising ID, and often your precise location. On GrapheneOS, we use user profiles as a tactical shield. Create a dedicated user profile specifically for identity verification. When you switch into this profile, it's a clean slate. It has no access to your primary files, your actual contacts, or your private communications. Once you performed the verification and gotten what you need, you can delete the entire profile. You aren't just clearing cookies. You are incinerating the entire digital environment the middleman tried to fingerprint. When you're forced to upload a photo of your ID, the identity buffet is looking for more than just your birth date. They're looking for the EXIF data, the hidden metadata embedded in the image that reveals exactly where you were standing and what device you used to take the photo. Before uploading, use a tool like Scrambled EXIF, which is available on F-Droid. This strips the GPS coordinates, timestamp, and camera model from the image. If you want to be truly impractical, don't upload a direct digital file. Take a photo of your ID, print it out, and then take a photo of the printout in neutral lighting. This adds a layer of analog noise that makes biometric extraction and automated scanning much harder for their AI to correlate with your other digital footprints. The goal of age verification is often to link a real name to a digital habit. We break that link by using selective disclosure. Never use your primary email for a site that requires ID. Use a masking service like Simple Login or Addy.io. If the identity provider tries to link your ID to your email, they're linking it to a random string of characters that exists only for that one interaction. If the site demands a card for vouching, use a virtual card with a $1 limit. This prevents the financial tail from wagging. The middleman sees a valid card, but they don't get a window into your actual banking life or a way to charge you convenience fees later. The most powerful tool in the Graphene approach isn't a setting in the OS. It's the power to walk away. GrapheneOS users understand that convenience is often just a fancy word for compliance. If a news site or a social media platform demands a facial scan and a government ID just to read an article, the most secure thing you can do is close the tab. Before you give up your ID, check if there's a privacy-friendly front end, like libreddit or Invidious, that lets you access the content without the gatekeeper ever seeing you arrive. Remember, the goal isn't necessarily to be invisible. That's pretty much impossible in 2026. The goal is to be unreliable data. If the information they harvest from you is fragmented, sandboxed, and stripped of metadata, you become an expensive target. And in the world of data brokering, if you aren't easy to profile, you aren't worth the storage space. This isn't just about protecting your birth date or your home address. It's about who holds the master key to your digital life. When we move from an internet of privacy where you're presumed anonymous until you choose otherwise, to an internet of permission where you must prove your identity before you can participate, the power dynamic shifts entirely. The danger of constant age verification is that it makes us comfortable with checking in. If you get used to scanning your face to read a news article, you won't think twice when you're asked to scan to enter a grocery store or use a public park. This is how a social credit infrastructure is built. Not with a bang, but with a series of I agree buttons. Anonymity was the original feature of the internet. Not a bug. It allowed for whistleblowing, exploration, and the ability to reinvent oneself. By attaching a government-verified anchor to every click, we're killing the Wild West spirit that made the web a tool for liberation. We're turning the internet into a giant, high-security office building where HR is always watching. We have to stop treating these age gates as mandatory. In most cases, they are corporate overreach masquerading as legal compliance. Look into projects that use zero-knowledge proofs. These allow a third party to verify that this person is over 18 without ever knowing who that person is or seeing their ID. If a site blocks you behind an identity wall, find a different source. Information wants to be free, but data brokers want you to be expensive. This week, we're going on the offensive. I want you to perform an identity audit on your most used apps and services. Go to your settings on your social media or shopping apps. Look for identity verification or linked accounts. If you've uploaded an ID in the past, see if there's an option to request deletion of that data. The next time a non-essential website asks you to verify your age or identity, close the tab. Find an alternative. See how long you can go without showing your papers to a digital bouncer. The walls are closing in, but that just means we have to get better at finding the cracks. Running GrapheneOS, using sandboxes, and scrubbing your metadata aren't just tech hobbies. They are acts of digital self-defense. If you value this ad-free, data broker-free deep dive, consider supporting the show on Patreon. It's the only way we keep the lights on without selling your eyes to the highest bidder. Choices are coming. Make sure you're the one making them. I'm Sudo, and this has been Impractical Privacy. Stay safe, stay relatively unexploitable, and I'll catch you in the next one.